Good morning, I'm Maisha Moyne and I'm one of the Melbourne representatives of a new initiative called Climate Leaders. We're seeking out everyday Australians who are passionate about climate change to stand up and run for office. This morning we're interviewing Oliver Yates, who's running for the seat of Kooyong, to see if he represents our vision.
Why are you running as an independent candidate for the seat of Kooyong?
At the moment we face an existential threat in relation to the risk of climate change. We're seeing our cities get a lot more crowded and there are a lot of issues that the nation's facing which this government isn't addressing.
As part of our youth-approved criteria, every climate leader must listen to climate experts and accept scientific consensus. So can young people rely on you to develop a comprehensive climate policy based on scientific evidence?
The focus of standing is really the fact that the government is ignoring science. I mean, the government has a responsibility to keep us all safe as individuals, but to ignore climate science is just, might be crazy. So the pathway that I will be requiring the government to adopt is pathways and policies that are consistent with reducing carbon emissions in a format that keeps temperatures within a safe boundary.
One of the major arguments against renewable energy is the fact that it's not economically viable. What do you think?
It's clearly economically viable. In fact, it's cheaper. It's not only economically viable, it's cheaper than existing. It's now cheaper than existing coal-fired power stations. Now, certainly you would never build any form of new coal-fired generation in this country again, and the costs continue to decline. So in the time frame that you have is the only alternative at the moment, and the most economic alternative is to go with renewables. And increasingly renewables with storage is now also cheaper than gas and coal.
So young people are calling on politicians in Australia to make Australia carbon neutral by the latest 2045, ideally 2035. So we believe every climate leader should have a policy toolkit to begin this shift towards renewables. Could you please elaborate on what policies or actions you have in plan?
So not surprisingly, the fastest area to reduce emissions will be the electricity sector. So you will focus on rapidly decarbonising the electricity sector, so you will need to have policies that ensure that you've probably somewhere well north of 50%, but more like 70% renewable energy within the electricity sector by the end of 2030 if you are to stay on the pathway. You've then got to look at all the different sectors of the economy and try and work out how you knock out emissions in each of those different sectors.
We've got a very spicy question here. So to receive endorsement as a climate leader, you must not accept campaign contributions from coal, gas or oil companies. Do you agree to this?
Coal.
I will be delighted not to accept anything from them.
Okay,
100%.
The team here at Climate Leaders are firm believers of equality and diversity, and one of the issues raised recently in politics has been the discrimination of LGBTI students and gay conversion therapy. What are your stances on these issues?
But there should be no discrimination against people in whether they're children or whether they're adults or in relation to their sex or their gender or the way that they are. And at the end of the day, we're all born different. And that's the beauty of us all.
That's it.
The interview with Oliver Yates was fantastic. He seems like a perfect candidate for Kooyong. He will be endorsed as a climate leader.